Hey, in this video, I'm going to share with you how to do cloud computing. And many of you are probably already familiar with this strategy. It's also known as cloud, using a cloud. You may have heard of this before, such as Dropbox is a very big name in the business, Google Drive, also OneCloud from Microsoft, and there are many other service providers that provide cloud hosting. So today I'm going to show you how to organize your cloud drive to keep everything simple and organized and to make sure that you're not like overlapping things. I'm just going to give you some best practices. Now let me tell you where these best practices have come from. You've probably heard that over the past 10 years since I started a consulting company, I've been hired by some of the biggest real estate investing entrepreneurs in the business. Some of these people, you know their names, or maybe you've been involved with them before. But the reality is what would happen is these guys would hire me to come and help organize and structure their business. I just kind of have this knack for seeing what's going on in the organization and making some tweaks and adjustments to make things better. And sometimes this would actually only be about maybe 1 to 3% of growth, but that can be a lot when you're doing volumes and volumes of deals. There's been often times, you probably heard me say, where I've taken an organization that's just doing like 2 to 3 deals a month, and then I've taken them to 8 deals a month or 12 deals a month. And that doesn't just by pumping more leads or money into the system, although that can help, but it also comes with being organized throughout the entire process. So I'm going to share that with you right now, one of the most simplest ways to do this. Now on the screen, you probably see Google Drive, okay? Now, if you use another service provider, that's perfectly okay. If you use OneDrive, Dropbox, whichever one you want to use, it's perfectly okay. But there are some little intricacies I want you to notice the difference between that I'm going to point out, okay? But I personally like to use Google Drive because they are really user-friendly. I have used the other ones other than Microsoft OneDrive. I haven't used Microsoft, but I've used many other cloud service providers. But I really like how Google Drive does great email, calendar organization, integration with Google Drive and documents and everything like that. They just do a phenomenal job at that. So we're going to use that for now, but again, most of this stuff does apply to everywhere. So when you have your drive, and let me explain something just before we jump in here. You should be very organized with your files. If your desk is like piled with papers and books and all that stuff, the first thing you should actually do, even before you get into this digital stuff, is you got to clean up your desk. If you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, I'm telling you, you're not going to be as have good productivity, and you're not going to be as productive as you ultimately can. That's one of the things that I found, and actually a lot of the practices that I'm actually telling you right now are not just like Nathan's like aha moment. I actually went to serious training for this kind of stuff about organization, leadership management, and how to be more productive in life. So what I'm sharing with you is I'm just passing on my trainings that I've gone to, that I've paid for. I'm passing these on to you for free within this program, okay? So one of the things is your working space, right? You have your working space, you have your desk. That should already be clean. You should have a minimum amount of things on your desk. So that everything is just a few, within arm's reach per se, okay? Everything like I personally need is just right here. If I'm going to click on and off my air condition, it's right here. It's pretty much, right near what I needed. My water, boom, it's right here, right? Everything, phone, it's right here attached to, the power source. So things like that, everything is within arm's reach. That's really important. I actually learned this because when I was actually years ago working on an assembly line, I actually had real life experience in this and not a training. When I was working on an assembly line, we were taught and we were told that we only could take so many steps because every step mattered, every movement mattered when you're on an assembly line. You can't just go walking around and stuff. You got to be active and you got to be proactive to what's coming down the line. So you can't just walk away. So everything has to be just a few steps or within arm's reach. So I learned that strategy, and that's really important, especially in work office environments. You never want to do the same thing multiple times. And this comes down to even if you're like stapling things. For example, I'll give you a quick example. There was one time I was working in an office, and this employee always put the stapler inside the filing cabinet, literally in the drawer in the filing cabinet. And I noticed what was going on was that, and being in the real estate business, there's sometimes a lot of documents. If you're not building a virtual or digital real estate business, there's a lot of documents that are going on. Well, every time, these paperwork would come out, they would reach in their drawer, pull out the stapler, snap it, put it back in the drawer and all that. And it would just be that constant cycle. And that would happen like at least 10 times a day. So when I saw this going on, I asked the question, I said, you know what, why do you keep taking the stapler out of your drawer? And I kid you not, the answer was, oh, because that's where it was when I found it. That was the answer. I was like, wow, that's horrible. So we found a place on the desk where we could put it, and it was just out of repetition. I know that you may think that's crazy. Like, why wouldn't you just have it on your desk? But not everybody operates like that, surprisingly. So remember just to keep those fundamental truths in place. And this actually, everything I'm sharing with you actually just jumps right in to what we're talking about a filing system, okay? Everything should be filed accordingly. If you've ever been in a doctor's office, now this is, today with computers, this is more modernized. But if you can recall, maybe even just a few years ago, you'd walk into a dentist office or a doctor's office, you'd see all those files behind the reception. And you would all see them like color coded, right? You see red, yellow, blue, all these different tabs and different colors. And actually the reason why they were color coded was because that, human nature is more apt to recognize colors than read. So you can actually label certain things. And I'll get that right into in just a little bit. But we're going to talk about color coordination as well as file organization within your drive. So everything that a professional company would do physically with physical files, we're going to do that digitally. Same thing for your business. All right, so if you look on the screen here in the drive, you're going to see I just have like a regular section open of real estate drive example, and that's just for this example here. And so what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to create a new folder, right? So the first folder, and mind you, you're going to have some flexibility with this. You don't have to be so rigid with what I'm about to show you. These are just some best practices you can add to this and take away from it, but you're going to understand the philosophy and the concepts behind it and why this is so important, okay? So under the real estate company, right? So this is like the whole real estate company. I should have maybe just put this company, right? One of the things you definitely want to do is do what's called legal docs, okay? Most people, I'm actually going to rename this for you right now because it makes real estate company drive, okay? So now you have the whole umbrella of the company, right? And the first thing you have is legal docs. Why is this important? Well, you may want the documents for your, EIN, your articles of incorporation, so on and so forth. Anything legal to make the company, maybe it's your LLC documents, stuff like that, operating agreements, do that, okay? Next thing you want is a folder for your taxes, okay? That's another folder. And within there, you could put maybe your different years. Let me give you an example, okay? So in your taxes, what I'd recommend you do is maybe something like this, 2015, right? You add another folder. I'm sure there's like a button I could hit for, adding a new folder. I'm gonna try that out right now. Sorry, I'm so used to using the keyboard shortcuts. See, that didn't work. I'm so used to using the keyboard shortcuts for my computer, but I think they're different for Google Drive. So you see how I'm adding the different years? I just added two 17s, didn't I? So there's, you understand the point here, right? So I'm adding these different years, and this is under taxes. So now every year is filed, based on the date, okay? And you can change the view, by the way, right here. And this is applicable for all drives. You can change the grid view or list view. I personally like list view most of the time, so I can see beyond, or I can check last modifieds. By the way, most of these cloud services have a way that you can move the folders, kind of like an Excel or anything like that. You can change the last modified. Really, just important ways of sifting and sorting through documents. Okay, so let's get back in there. We showed you the taxes and the legal documents. Now, another folder that you should definitely have, right, is like, you could call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it right now real estate deals. And this is just to separate what's going on. Some people name this properties, whatever you want to do. That's fine. I'm going to put one here called active, and then I'm going to put another folder here called closed. So now you're going to see where'd my other one go? Okay, so I'm going to put active. I don't know where the other one went, just like disappeared. So now I have active properties and I have closed properties, right? Now this is, again, just my way of organizing this, just to show you. You can move this all around if you wanted to, but I'm just giving you what some of the techniques that I've done. So anything like active, I want to show you an important part, right? An active thing is here where it says change color. Oh, by the way, all I did was a right click and there's a drop down and I went to change color. So anything active, I'm probably going to put to a certain color, like green per se. If it's closed, I might put right here, I might use a color blue, okay? So blue means all those files are closed, those deals are closed, we made money on it, good, good. Then we have the active ones, active. So now I know that anything that's closed is going to have a blue a color to it, right? So if all your closing documents, they all should be tagged or in a blue folder, tagged blue or in a blue folder. And a lot of computers now allow you to tag documents. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you can actually take a Microsoft Word document or a PDF and you could tag it a certain color. So actually right here on my Mac, I can do those, I can set up those tags and do that. So you can actually tag documents and colors, and that's by color, and that's a really important thing. So if you want to do that, you can. It doesn't have to be just with folders. So maybe you want to add something like for taxes, maybe you want to make that like purple. Real estate deals, maybe you want to make that green also, right? Because it's like active real estate deals. Legal docs, maybe you say, okay, this is always, my company legal docs is always going to be orange, right? You understand? So use things by color coordination, and you should do this throughout your entire company. Even you can even do this in your personal life, but throughout your entire company, you should have those colors. And actually, if you're familiar with like doctor's office and receptionists, sometimes all they have is like this little sheet, and on that little sheet it just shows the colors and it shows what kind of file is, so people can recognize what color it goes for until the memory kind of sticks in. Does that make sense? All right, so the next thing I want to show you is under real estate deals, under active, this is deals that you're currently working on. Here's one of the most important parts. 123 Main Street here is an active property we have right now. Okay. Now, the reason why you want to put the address, it's very important. The reason why you want to put your addresses as the file folder, because when you go to search for it, let's pretend we're back in the main folder. Whenever you search for 123 Main Street, it's going to come up, you do a search, and it's going to give you that folder by the address. It's called searching by address. That's really important also in emails. When you're dealing with emails, your subject line should have the property address in the subject line, so that whether you're dealing with a title company, an attorney's office, or a business partner, you just search by the address and it pulls everything up in the subject line, or all the documents, every email that has been generated through the address. Really important thing. So I would encourage you to add your properties like this, okay? West Main, all right? And that's how your property should be. Now, inside of each folder, right, what you're gonna do is you're going to add another folder, and this is gonna be like pics and videos, okay? You're gonna get pics and videos, you're gonna add your contract folder, contracts. Okay, and another folder you can add is inspections. Okay, if you're having inspections or due diligence, whatever you want to do, you can add that there also, due diligence. Another file you can add, another folder you can do is selling. Now, this is a different folder, especially if you're doing wholesaling. This is actually an important folder, okay? If you have like active paperwork coming in on the selling process, some people call this selling, some people call this what? Closing, right? This is a really important thing. So you can have a selling folder or a closing folder, and this is if you have an active property. You're gonna want this folder in there, whether it's closing or selling, whatever title you want to give it. Really important, because this is where you're going to actively go to most of the time in that process, okay? So you can see the differences here, right? Pics and videos, inspections, contracts. Now, most people say, well, Nathan, why do you have all these separated? Why don't you just take the address and throw everything in there? Here's a very important part. You don't want to share an entire folder like this and share it, okay, with an investor and include all your contracts, your HUD statement, even if you want to do HUD statements, which we do this personally. We actually have a HUD folder, okay? We separate all those documents so everything's in order, okay? And we don't want to just share this whole entire folder. So what that looks like is if I was to take this folder and then share the whole thing with someone, I don't want to do that, especially if I just want to share pictures. What I want to do is I want to dive in here and I just want to share the pics and videos. Okay, if I'm selling it or marketing it, raising money, whatever it is, I just want to share that one folder, not the entire folder. Does that make sense? Very important thing. I'm going to say it one more time. You don't want to share an entire folder with someone if you're just looking for a buyer, such as you don't want to send them any documents on the buyer side, on the seller side. You don't want to send any other documents, maybe a HUD or whatever you're trying to not disclose. You don't want to do that, okay? Or any inspections or anything like that. What you want to do is just share the pics and videos. That's typically what happens, such as like wholesaling or lease options, whatever business model you're doing. You always want to separate the pics and the videos in its own folder. And here's how you want to share it, okay? All right, let me first tell you how not to share it, because this happens all the time and you do not want to do this. Pay very close attention what I'm about to share with you. In any cloud drive, I don't care if it's Google Drive, Dropbox, it doesn't matter. There's always two options to share, and I'm going to show you the way not to do it. What you don't want to do is you don't want to do, let's say, a right click and hit the share button and add an email. You do not want to add anyone's email to the folder. Never share via email within the drive, okay? Within the Dropbox, whatever. Never add someone's email. I'll tell you why. If that end user does not have a Dropbox, a Google Drive, or some OneDrive, they cannot access that without registering an account, which is really annoying. Okay, you don't want to do that. Here's what you want to do. What you want to do is get what's called a shareable link. And there's a few ways you can do this. You can get it from here. You can simply highlight it and click it from there. You can also do a right click, hit share, and then get it over here. There's multiple ways. You can see how there's so many different ways to do that, right? So you can get shareable links multiple ways, and that's what you want. You actually want to get a shareable link, and there's the shareable link. You can copy and paste, and that's really what you want to do, because this way only people with that link can view it. They can't edit it. That's really important, okay? You don't want people to have access to the whole folder or into your cloud and all that stuff. You just want to send them the pics and the videos. You do not want to add their name to it, okay, in this box or any other box in any cloud drive. You want to grab the shareable link. You want to take that link, and then you open up a new email and you take that link and you paste it in the email. Is that clear? You get a shareable link, you open up an email, you paste that link into like this. Let me show you right here. You would paste that link, right? It's this long link, right? You take that link and you paste it in the email. That's exactly what you want to do. So never share never share an email, put an email in within the cloud drive, okay? No matter what service provider you're using, because they all do the same options. They get a shareable link or add the email, all right? Want to make that very clear, very important, because it's super frustrating too once I always get them. So that's what you definitely want to do. These are just some different ways you can set up your files and folders this way for your business. And it's a great way to keep it organized, okay? And that's really important. Another thing we like to do, just to show you just some other things, we do contracts. So this is where we put, like, in that company, we'd put all the contracts that we need. Also, scripts. You also want to add scripts, okay? Now, scripts is great. Excuse me. Scripts is great if you're doing certain types of scripts. Maybe, like, for example, you're dealing with sellers. You want to have a seller script. Then you want to have scripts for your buyers. Okay. Then you want to have with agents. Okay. You see that? So now and we can go on and on with this. Another thing you want to do, okay, scripts. You also want to do like spreadsheets. Okay. You want to create another folder for spreadsheets. Maybe there's certain spreadsheets that you are going to use on a regular basis. I would do that. Create one for spreadsheets and break it down, the different spreadsheets in there. Okay. Another thing you'd want to do is add this. If you have an assistant, which we do, So we always have the assistant. Now this is just something we do. It's not something you have to do, but we add a star to it most of the time, and we do change the color. Excuse me. We do change the color for our assistant. For this time, I'm just going to make it red. This way, we always know anything for our assistants is the same color. All right, and we always star it. That's just because we think our assistants are superstars. And they help us achieve our goals in business. So we always start everything for our assistants. It just kind of separates it, so we know that's what they're working on. Again, you can sift and sort these any way you want. Like that. That's typically how we have it. And so you understand how, even though in the beginning this may seem like, oh my gosh, this is a lot to set up under one company. After a while, let me tell you, it gets super easy and you get super used to it. And I'll tell you what, one thing when it comes to like real estate deals, right, and under actives, you actually, if you don't want to set up like every folder like this, and every time you get a new property, you can have your assistant do that. I don't know if you realize that, but you can actually have like this duplicated like this, right? You can move filed locations and stuff like that. But basically what you can do is you can have this file duplicated by your assistant. They can create another one and it can look something like this. Let me give you an example. Next deal. Okay, so basically you can have like 3 or 4 of these that say next deal, next deal, next deal, next deal. And inside of that next deal are all the folders all ready to go. Does that make sense? All folders ready to go. And then when you have that next property, all you have to do is change the name and you go back whatever name you want to give it. You understand? So your assistant can actually help you set up your drive just by giving them access to that. Now, again, if you just want to give them access to one company folder and not other things in your drive, like here's the other drive, but if you want to just give them access to one company folder, you're going to do the same thing. You could do it 2 ways. You could go to share. You could just give them the shareable link, or you can add their name to here. But I don't recommend that either way. Even though I told you the other way is for external people, even if your assistant's working within your company, you can add their name in here, or you can just do the shareable link. What we do is, because our assistant works closely with us, we don't mind having their name in here, their email, and then we give them the ability to organize, add, and edit. So that's what we do, okay? So what we'll do is something like this. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh, look at that. So that's what we'll do. And then we'll give our assistant the right to organize, add, and edit. Okay, that's because they are part of the team. They have that flexibility. The other way I just showed you is you don't want your, let's say, buyers or your partners or whatever, you don't want them to have access to your drive, but maybe you want your assistant to have that access. So you would do it that way. Does that make sense? All right, if it doesn't make sense, leave some questions in the comment section below and we'll get those answered for you, okay? All right, so that is how you would use Google Drive, okay? Just be mindful that when you're first setting this up, it may be a little time consuming. You may have to label some files and folders. You might have to take some time to go through your downloads and organize everything appropriately. You might have to go through some other folder and drag and drop and move it over and all that kind of stuff. The good thing is if you have any files, by the way, on your current computer and you can't access it from your phone, that's not good, okay? Here's something you want to do. You want to be so flexible that, look, right here on my phone, I have the Google Drive app and I can literally open it up and I can access all my real estate folders right from my phone. Now, some people always ask me this. They say, Nathan, okay, so you have Google Drive, yet you have, your Apple iCloud because that comes with it. Which one do you use? Which one do you prefer? Now, I personally like to use 2 different clouds, okay? And I actually have them sync and talk to each other. Now, this is not to complicate anything, but I like to basically have a backup, okay? Because most of the stuff I have is not in my physical computer, it's in the cloud. Why is that, Nathan? Why do you not have your files in a physical box, right? Or paper? And why don't you just have it sitting on your computer, Nathan? In your hard drive, your local hard drive. And the reason why I don't is because if I step away from my laptop, I need to have access to it on my phone. I need to have access to it on my iPad where I can pull up and maybe do signatures, whatever, on the go, boom, boom, right? I don't have to be physically in the local drive. Now, if you still have a lot of files in your local drive, you need to start doing what's called an upload, Right here, you can see file upload or folder upload. So if you have, let's say, folders on your computer that are real estate related and you want to get them into your cloud, you just hit folder upload or file upload, and then you drag and drop, and there you go. That all those files and folders will be uploaded right into your cloud. I highly recommend this. This is really important for your business. I'll tell you what, I've transitioned probably 8 real estate companies, not including other companies, but at least 8 real estate investing companies that are big, that do big volume. They do over $1 million in revenue a year. And I've actually helped a lot of them transition into the cloud space because of the utility and how ease of use it is for the entire team. One thing I will share this before I go about cloud computing that's really important for your business is one thing I really love about Google and Google Drive is when you have the G Suite, you can actually easily access like your calendar, your notes, and your tasks. And more importantly, you can have a company-based chat, messenger chat within the company. So if you have assistants in your company, everyone can get a username and login. You can give everybody an email to your company. So if you're building a bigger company and you're scaling, you can have your name, let's say Joe or Joanne at yourcompany.com. Then you can have your assistant Bob at yourcompany.com, right? You can have emails for every person in your organization and it can look very organized. And you can all message and chat with each other within the Google Drive or G Suite platform. You don't need to jump on Skype. You don't need to jump on another platform and all that kind of stuff. Everybody can be chatting in one platform, which is a great way to build a real estate business. It really is. Now, I don't want to get too deep into that and how it works, but if you wanted more information on that, I could record another video for you more in depth. But be sure when you're setting up your real estate business that you start using cloud computing this way. It's a really important. It will help you in the long term. Like I said, it might take a few times to get used to it in the beginning, but after a while, as you get in the habit of labeling your documents correctly, your PDFs, your checklists, your documents, your folders, color coordination, it gets a lot easier and it's easier to remember, and you can work more efficiently with more productivity. If you have any other questions or you found this helpful, please leave a comment below and let me know. See you later.